Down here in the Mountain Storm workshop, getting ready to make a custom bow staff for a customer, and I've got a nice looking piece of maple here. It's not easy to find figured maple that's thick, that's clear, that has good grain structure to it, and this is the piece I selected. It was very expensive. I've got to get the absolute best piece out of it, so I'm going to be sectioning a piece about right here, like this, out of it, and I'm going to be truing it up in every which way. I'm probably going to end up doing some hand planing to it to make sure it's perfectly straight, even before I run it through my surface planer. Surface planer will level it, but it will not take any slight wane out of the wood. And this wood is not warped, but all wood has a slight wane to it. You'd be hard pressed to find a piece of any length that's exactly laser straight from end to end. It does happen, but it's very rare. And that's the woodworker's job, is to take the dead tree carcass and turn it into whatever it is that he desires. And in this case, it's going to be an octagonal bow staff, 1.25 inches, and this is just long enough to make this happen. I see that there's no checks, no splits, no cracks. I've got some lift over here, but I'm not even getting into this area. I'm going to be working from this area right here, and then the rest of it will just be whatever. I might get another staff out of it, I might not. Really depends on how the wood reacts when it runs through the saw. If there's any internal pressures in the wood, they get released as you slice it up, and things can happen that you can't expect, like twisting, cupping, curling, all sorts of things, and that's when you have to get down and dirty on it on the bench and get it dialed in. But this is going to be a gorgeous piece. It's curly, it's got tiger stripes all through it, and when you slice that into an octagon, it's going to reveal all kinds of things. I imagine maybe even some checkerboard patterns. All kinds of interesting things will show up that you wouldn't normally see because you're looking at it from 8 different angles. That's why I love octagons. Alright guys, enough talk. It's time to start throwing. To begin at the beginning, I like to get a true straight edge to work with. So I use a straight edge. I jack the saw blade way up. I check to make sure it's dead 90. Fire up everything and run through. Yep, straight like a laser now. And this is the side I want to work with, and it's looking pretty good now. I do a lot of thinking when I'm doing this, guys. I know this video gets long. May not be your cup of tea. I want to bring the camera in just to show you why I go through all these thought processes. First of all, I got a giant piece of lumber here that if I had to go get another one, I would cry. Okay. And from this side, you can see it looks gorgeous. Just a beautiful thing. Come around here, see this little bit of gray right in here? It's also where the saw started having a hard time. It's because there's internal pressures. See that lift? Comes in about, I think that if I go, because if you look at how the grain flows this way. Okay, so that crack is going to come down in a little bit. And I'm just afraid that if I only cut off a ½ inch or something, it's just going to make this one lift. But if I come in a full inch past all of this, I think I'm going to be past this, and I'll be back into stable grain. Right now, I'm taking off a good, maybe 7/16 will be what I'm left with, and then I'm going to end up with like a, 9/16 taken off of the plank. And that should get me past the area that I'm concerned about. Probably take maybe 1/16 less. I really want to preserve as much of this material as I possibly can. It's a real workout for my saw. I mean, this blade is sharp. It's a good blade. It's a very fine cutting blade. It's not a ripping blade. And so it's working hard. All right, guys. Here we go again. It's relaxed. That means it's not under some sort of internal pressure that makes a sudden dog leg in the wood or makes it suddenly start to peel out or lift up as it comes off the saw. That's a really good thing. This is also a good way to check out the flexibility of the wood and to see how flexible it is, Now, remember I was telling you about this piece here that was lifting? I can tell you right now that's going to fracture right there. I can hear it going. This way, way strong. This way, it's going to want to fracture. Can you hear it? A crack? But I want to use this for something decorative, so I'm not going to break it. But that's why I had to cut that out, because it's a weak spot in the wood. It's not going to work out with this. Now, Got this edge that I've cleaned up. I want to see if I took out the areas I was concerned about. What I'm looking for is tight grain. I want everything held together. I don't want anything lifting or flaking or trying to lift out. Okay, at this point, this is ready. This is ready for some action here. This is a real time-consuming process for me because this is the piece I'm going to be working with. I've been fiddling and fussing and farting around, and I cut off a strip that I didn't like the look of, and I've trued up the edge so it's perfectly straight. Now I've got the saw set so I can slice off the piece that I'm actually going to be using for my staff. And then I'm going to be truing that up by hand before I put it through the planer. So let's fire up, make some noise, throw some dust. You can tell how old I am. I used to have fuses. No, nothing tripped. That's definitely the saw. The saw overheated. This is a really hard piece of wood. Well, I'm going to let my saw have a chance to cool down and reset. It'll probably take several minutes. Then I'm going to fire it right back up, right where it sits, and push it on through. Oh man, I'm sorry. This has been a good saw. That's the first time it has ever had a thermal overload. Ever. But as you can see, it has widened just a little bit here. It hasn't pinched. It's split away just a little bit, which is fairly normal. And you can see it's probably no more than a 1/16, which is really good because that means that there's no internal pressure that I'm going to have to work with later. This wood's coming off the plank really nice, and that's going to be the staff if I can ever get all the way through it. So I thought the saw might have thermal tripped, but I think what thermal tripped was the GFI because it's dead, Jim. I can't reset it. I got no juice coming out of that or anything downstream because it's all on this one GFI, the next 3 boxes. Everything else in the shop works, you know, so Everything else works. All the breakers are set. I checked them all, flipped them all. So I got a dead GFI. That's a pain in my ass. I got plenty more outlets, but still. I gave the saw time to cool down. The GFI is toast, so I can't plug in over there anymore. But luckily I have a very heavy 10 gauge extension cord that should do the job. I really hate starting up the saw like this, but it's what I gotta do. Gotta do what you gotta do. I've used this saw for a long time, and it's cut well. Keep a sharp blade on it, it works great. I just want to lay the wood up here. Here we got a nice chunk of wood for something later, maybe. Who knows? Something. Not gonna worry about that now. I don't have time for that now. What I want to do now is look at this piece of wood I just cut and see if this edge is straight. Look at that, man. I got lucky on that. It didn't twirl around, turn into something bizarre. Now, like I was telling you, I've got 7/16. Inch and 7/16 is the thickness of this, and I'm going to go down to 1.25 inch. You know, so I've got 3/16 to play with. That's plenty. That's a ton. So what I'm seeing when I look down this, the only thing I don't like about this is that there's an overall curve to it. Now you remember what I did with my straight edge last time, where I ran it against the fence. Well, now I can do it this way to get some of that off. Just skim it. As long as I don't go below something that I can plane, I'm in good shape. Yeah, right now I'm looking at a 1/16 of an inch in the center. That may not seem like much, but when a man is paying top dollar to have the absolute best possible bow staff he can get, now that's enough you could flex it in. So it's not, you know, a huge amount. But if I take a 1/16 off of there, and then I flip it around and I take a 1/16 off of each end, I will have squared it up and only taken an 1/8 off, and then I'll still have a 1/16 left that I can plane off in 30 seconds at a time and get something I can work with that I can hand sand. You know, get my saw marks out of. Put it this way, it's more substantial. If you held it at this end, you can see I've got almost a 1/2 inch there. So the way to get going with this is to take a little bit off of each out of the center here, but it's going to want to bounce. So the way I have to do this is a little different than last time. The saw is going to want to push it in. It's not going to help me out in the least. What I need to do is put a little tiny wedge exactly right here, and tape it, and have everything taped in place so that when I push it through, that this is held off the way the wood wants, because even though you can do a lot with the wood, you know, for instance, this maple is great for steam bending, but you don't want to do that for a staff to straighten it out. That's crazy. There are ways that you can heat thinner pieces and make them curl however you want. You heat one side dry over a pipe, it'll make it curl around the pipe. You can put water on it and heat it, it'll make it swell and it'll push the other side. But that's not going to stay that way for something this thick. So the only way to do it is to remove stock, remove material. So I'll get on that. This is going to be a long video. Oh my God. On the convex side, that's what I'm going to take off first, because I can use the concave side to true up against this end to end. And I wish there was a different way to do it, to be honest with you. I really don't want to take this down too much. But it's continuous thickness from end to end. It's not that one end is thicker than the other and it's skinny in the middle or something. It's just got a very, very slight, less than an eighth, more than a 16th curve from end to end. Let's clean that up. To take anything out of the middle and the other side, if it's already away. So, yeah, that's dead straight now. So I can use that without this guide stick. Get out of there. Okay. My little shims off of there. This aside. Later. Alright, so now I've basically trued up one side of it pretty good. This should run really flat right against this, real nice. And what I'm going to have is a low spot right in the center. And I'm still like 1 5/16 heavy right now, which is fine. That's exactly what I want. I'm going down to 1 1/4 inches. So now when I run it through here, it's going to take those high spots off at each end, just barely touch the center. So we should be in good shape. Let's do it. Of course, anytime you're doing this, you're going to end up making something too damn skinny. But every angle I look at, it's now perfectly straight. So now I've got something that I can start working towards a staff on. But as you can see, this side is a lot thicker than this side. So what I can do is clean it up a little bit. This time, I'm going to use a push stick. I was looking all over for my damn push stick. I had it the table. Bad. Very bad. So what I want to come down to is 1 5/16 heavy, more like almost 1 3/8 light. Okay? That's where I'm at. So what I can do is I can take a little bit of that off of each side. Hopefully that won't affect anything. Let's see how it runs. Yeah, we'll just take a little bit off of each side. Like I said, this video is going to get ridiculously long, guys. I'm sorry. But this is what it's going to take. Now you can see how far away I am there. A mile away. Which is fine. Okay. I'm taking a fair amount here, and then when I flip it over, I'll be taking almost the same amount off the other side. See which side I want to take it off of. See if there's a difference. Yeah, this is fine. Here we go again. If you're wrapping anybody's knuckles with this piece of wood, man, you're going to make them hurt. Now, what I want to do is basically bring it in almost to that point. I'm going to leave some wiggle room here. That's fine. Right. Man, that is some freaking hardwood. I'll take a look down this side. This side came out really, really laser straight, so we'll do this side next. Oh yeah, I'm super happy. Super happy with it. There's actually a little bit of shine on the wood, just from the heat burnishing of the blade passing by the blade after the teeth had cut it. It's actually put a slight shine on it. I am seeing no real deviation, maybe a 128th of an inch deviation somewhere, but nothing I need to worry about. Alright guys, it's time to move to the planer. Yeah, it looks horrible. Big nasty saw marks that'll all come off. And we'll all be in there. I'm running the battery out on this camera, man. This is going to be a long video. This part is crazy loud, guys. Just ridiculous, so brace yourselves. long video, isn't it? I ran the battery out planing, and of course I had to cut down that planing, man. I couldn't bore you guys with 30 minutes of planing, but I literally ran that planer for like 30 minutes, just taking little feathers off of it. Now while the battery was charging, I got a bunch more work done. First thing I did was I printed out an octagon and I glued it onto the end of my square, okay, and so I would know what I was going for. Set the saw so I could take right up to that mark, but leave a little bit to take off with the router and my chamfer bit. Skimming it with the router, not taking very much at all, because you don't want to tear. If I tore out, I'm done. If I go below my nominal, I'm done. So had to work up to it. Very, very fine chips coming off of that. Nice sharp blade on the router. No burn marks. Then over here to the sanding zone. As you can see, I've been quite busy sanding. 220 block, rubbing the grit right off of this one. I got to change that one out. Purpose of that is to remove any planer marks, any router marks, and to work right up to my guide, which I've glued to the end here. And so this just continues on and on. This is just the initial sanding, just to make sure that I'm to shape. Now I'm going to go over it again with 220, all the sides, make sure everything is perfect. You know, get the table cleaned off so I don't have stuff stuck to it. Just feel it up and down, make sure it's perfect. Then move to 320, then move to 400, and then I will cut it to length, chamfer the ends, dial those in up to 400, then finish. Now the finish is going to be a couple steps. Going to do linseed oil first, all over it, just to get it saturated with linseed oil. I'm going to let that dry for 24 hours. Then I'm going to buff it down, and then I'm going to apply another coat of linseed oil. I'm going to let that dry for 24 hours, buff it down. Then once the oil is really soaked in, and I know it's got a nice deep layer of oil protecting it all through, especially the end grain, then I'm going to buff it real good and put my Linwax on it. I'll probably put 3 coats of that. Apply it, buff it, apply it, puff it, apply it, buff it. And depending on how I feel at the time, I may take the steel wool out and burnish it a little bit. It depends on what it's looking like. It depends on what it needs at that time. It'll talk to me. It'll tell me what to do. So, I'm not going to bore you with a whole bunch more crap, guys. I mean, my God, this video is like an hour long already, and we're not done. So what I'd like to do is get to the fun part, and the next thing you'll see is something that's, you know, sanded up to the point where it looks interesting, and then finish getting applied to it so you can see the transformation. And then that's when all the stripes and the tiger stuff starts to come out. And the more finish you put on, the more you burnish it, and the smoother and slicker and deeper that finish gets, the more pops out of this kind of maple. It rewards your effort. So even though I'll probably be bleeding from my fingertips by the time I get done, that staff will be of heirloom quality, and I'll be proud to ship it out to my client. Hey, let's have a look at this here stick. I think that came out super nice. That's sanded to 400 twice. Worked it up from 220 to 400. Now, the really fun part, when we get to see all the cool stuff that's going to come out when I apply the linseed oil for the first time. This is always my favorite part. Take a look at that end grain. Right. Lovely. It's all very subtle. It's just going to bring out just a nice subtle gleam. Oh wow, those tiger stripes are blowing me away. I'm not sure if it's working for you guys from that angle. I'm going to show you some more, you know, once I get it totally slathered up here. I will move the camera again and we'll take another closer look. Wow, the tiger stripes are so pretty. See, some wood, you really can't sand it to 400. Some wood just, it's too fuzzy and it doesn't really work. And then if you want to put a finish on it, it just kind of, the pores are all clogged up and it doesn't work. But maple has such a fine cellular structure, and it makes like a really fine powder, like flour, when you're sanding it. And oh yeah, that is so pretty. Oh my God, that is beautiful. Flip it around. It's very subtle, you know, it's not like turning it dark brown or something like some of the species I've worked with. Some of the species I worked with, they'll look almost white, and then you put this on, it turns gold or almost brown because of the way it oxidizes with it. Maple is just a superior wood. It really is. I think it's very underrated. I like maple for gun stocks. I know people like a darker wood for gun stocks. I like maple for gun stocks. I think it looks awesome. Maybe that's what I'll do, is I'll make some pistol grips for my Peacemaker. Right. So you'll slap it up. Now I gotta wipe the excess off and all that good stuff. But here, let me move the camera around. Get my hands cleaned up. Get linseed oil all over the camera. Zoom back. Alright. I don't know if the tiger stripes are picking up. Look at that. Stripey like a polecat tail. That thing is stripey. You know, it looks real stripey here, and then, you know, from certain angles it doesn't look stripey over there, but then if you change the angle at which you're looking at it, you will see plenty of stripes everywhere, man. Look at that. You don't even see those until you put a finish on it. It's crazy. And the thing is that once that gets burnished, after a couple coats of linseed oil, and it gets burnished, it'll come out even more. And then when I put the wax on it, it'll really gleam. Let's just turn it to each side. I won't move too fast. I don't want to blur the camera, but look at those stripes. So pretty. You gotta see through the shine of the oil to really see it. I'm trying my best to get a good angle for you. There we go. Look at that. Well, it was a super long video, and I'm sure a lot of it was really boring. I hope you skipped through the parts you didn't like. But right here at the end here, this is the fun part. And I will make a short video that just shows the stick, so that, you know, people that don't want to watch me make it don't have to. It may not be everybody's cup of tea. See, just certain angles, it's just very hard for the camera to pick it up, but this thing is got tiger stripes from head to tail. They're just so pretty. I think we've rotated it all the way around now. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Cannot wait to see more of that. It's just going to get better and better as I finish it up. Alright guys, that's it for this part of making a custom bow staff. Thanks for watching.